Hey guys, listen to me. I need all your eyes, nigga. This is what we train for. This is what we work for. This is who we are.
Welcome to the Ultra Tailgate Show. When you line up against your friends with a Michelob Ultra on the line, competition isn't friendly, the trash talk, rivalry level, and the stakes as clear as the scoreboard.
Gators bringing some pressure. It's picked off!
With only 95 calories and superior smooth taste, it's the ultimate trophy. Superior is worth playing for. Michelob Ultra Superior Light Beer.
It is a glorious day for some SEC football.
It's time for the Ultra Cocktail Party. Now, here are Theo Dorsey and Colin Russo.
Welcome on into the Ultra Cocktail Party. I'm so sorry that you couldn't be with us right here in person. It is your boy Theo Dorsey, and good people, I'm joined by Colin Russo from Russo and Rizzo, and we are in for a big-time showdown here, man. This is the epitome of college football. Colin, is this your first experience with like a big-time SEC rivalry in person?
This is my first time in Jacksonville, too. Live here for Florida, Georgia, in Jacksonville, outside of Everbank Stadium right now, home of the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are on the road this week. But and I'm a Jags fan. I've been to six Jacksonville Jaguar road games.
Sorry about that.
I have not been to Jacksonville for a Jaguar home game.
Were those games when the Jags were like kind of good and competing, or were they just random
I never
one-offs?
went to a game when they had a winning record, so no. But nonetheless, first time in Jacksonville. I'm going to be completely honest. Coming to Jacksonville, we drove up from West Palm, about 4 hours and change, give or take, and easy drive, easy to get in and out. I heard a statistic that Jacksonville, by a landmass, is like the biggest city in the United States.
The biggest.
In the continental United States, so maybe outside of Alaska.
Yeah.
That Jacksonville, by land area, is the largest city. And my mind went to, Los Angeles, wide cities, whatever. This city is not the largest city in the
you came here and you
continental
decided?
United
Did
States.
you drive around?
Yeah, I decided. We're 3 miles away from downtown, 3 miles hit the exit, and I'm still looking for the skyline. I'm still looking for when does the city start?
Wouldn't that make it big if you can't even see the skyline yet?
No, because it's all trees.
It's really far away.
It's not
really
other buildings. It's trees. I get a national park and call it a city. It's the biggest one ever. It's not the same. It's not a huge city. I think it's just whatever notary or map guy, whoever they have do it, that builds the city counties, that guy screwed up.
Yeah.
That guy was dead wrong when he decided how big Jacksonville actually is. Not a big city.
I wondered. I always thought about that too. Like at some point somebody draws these lines.
It's
and I know
a map
there's red
guy.
lines.
Yeah,
and
whoever that guy is.
But I'm just saying, there are some areas, like you said, L.A., Houston. Houston's huge.
Dallas is
It is
huge.
so spread out. But the difference is in Houston, you got Bel Air, you got Missouri City, you got Sugar Land, you got Humble, you got Atascocita. So it's like there's other cities. I think in Jacksonville they just got lazy and they just called it all Jacksonville. That's why.
That's why I can't take it serious.
It's big. It's huge.
You're
it's
the wrong
all
way.
Jacksonville.
Jacksonville's the biggest city in that continent. Yeah. No, it's not. No, it is not.
Absolutely not.
No, it is not. All
Kyle's
right, let me
gonna get us
save you
hurt.
the suspense. Jacksonville is not a massive city. All right, you could run from one end to the other and hit it in about 25 minutes. Yes,
not
you can.
true.
Yes, you can. Theo, it's 2.4 miles. Hit the exit. You're in downtown. I'm looking up in the windshield. Where's the downtown? Where's the building?
See,
I'm driving by. It's just gas stations. Where is the city? Does this count?
This is why you can't bring we got to stop the Northeasterners from getting down here and infiltrating the South.
Listen, I'm not going to run around here saying it's the biggest city in the entire United States and just run with it. I'm going to expect some criticism when that's the case.
All right.
Not a big city.
So 10 minutes into the cocktail party here in the show, we have already ostracized the city of Jacksonville.
Whatever map guy they enlisted to determine how big this city is was dead wrong when he was doing it. They got to have a fact checker, a notary. Somebody has to come in and determine that this is completely off.
So now that you've alienated Jacksonville, how soon until you think that I alienate the Gator fans with my prediction of how today is going to go?
Because this is gonna, it's gonna be ugly to you.
I don't. Here's the thing, and we know that the Dogs 7.5-point favorites here. We know the Dogs 5th best team in the nation.
First time we're seeing them post Napier too on the Gator side.
On the Gator side, they're literally the underdogs and the scrappy dogs with their back in the corner, nothing to lose. They want to spoil Georgia's season. So I get why the narrative is there. I get why the line is so close. But I've seen enough of this Gators offense to know that 2 weeks and a new coach who's kind of had some experience with the team, but clearly is not the guy that – it's not like they're walking in and it's going to be like Sean McVay's taking over, right? Like, he's not going to come up with some new style in which the offense is going to click and all of a sudden, oh, my God, Billy Napier, why didn't you think of that? I don't see a world in which, especially if he's talking about the new Billy, that is, an up-tempo offense, more possessions, slinging the ball around. I don't see a world in which this doesn't go absolutely terrible for the Gators, partly because they are a very turnover-prone offense, and the other side of it is this is a high-powered, action-packed Georgia offense that doesn't have to throw the ball to get explosive plays, and I am just absolutely expecting them to be able to have their way, especially in the second half, have their way with the Gators, and this thing's not going to be close. The cocktail party's going to be fun. The tailgate's going to be a great time. If you're a Gators fan and you want to enjoy yourself, do it now because I think it's going to be misery inside of Everbank Stadium.
I mean, the one thing I agree with you on is Florida likes to turn it over.
Yeah.
Georgia can score quickly.
And they don't turn
not
it
a good. That is not a good mixture if you're trying to win a game. You cannot be a turnover-prone team that is playing a team that can score in bunches quickly. Now, to that point, I think Florida knows this just as much as anybody. Florida knows, hey, we can't give Georgia extra possessions throughout this game. I'm not saying maybe Georgia, it's not like they can control that.
Yeah,
it's not like they want to throw interceptions. But I think they're cognizant of the fact that they turn it over more so than a lot of SEC teams. Now, new coach, a change of leadership, whether that makes a difference or not, definitely a wake-up call because the head coach gets fired in the middle of the season. That is a wake-up call to the player as much as it is to the coach. You got to think, if you're Florida, I agree, you cannot turn the ball over at all. At all.
No, can't do it.
And on top of that, you need to control this entire game. You need to let Georgia play to your tempo, not the other way around, because we saw Georgia against Ole Miss. Georgia was down in 10 points to Ole Miss in their building, and they scored about 17 in about 5 minutes.
Instantly.
So that's just – it's the type of team that Georgia – it's a different Georgia team.
Yeah.
This is not – they don't like to play the 17-13 ball game. They want to play the 45-38. They want to play, 52-48. They don't, and weirdly enough, Florida, with some of the great offenses that we've seen, the Kyle Trask offense from a couple years ago, the amount of good offenses that we've seen on the Florida end, they're the opposite. They want to play in the 17-13 ball game. They want to ugly it up, muddy it up. They were hoping for rain today, and now we're going to have a beautiful day here in Jacksonville.
Beautiful.
Perfect for a passing clinic. The odds do not line up well for Florida. I would be a little nervous myself.
I would be absolutely astonished if this is a dogfight, if this is a good game, and we'll see in a little bit here. We're going to make our predictions later on with Amber Wilson from ESPN Radio and the Campus Tailgate. We also, throughout the show, are going to be talking about the depth of this rivalry as well as the college football coaching carousel, because that's half of the story of the day. As one of these teams is competing for a national title, the other team is competing for the transfer portal, competing for who the next coach is going to be, competing for relevance in this rivalry, because Georgia has won 7 of the last 8. In fact, the only time in the last 8 years Florida's won this thing, wasn't too many people around to see it because it was the COVID year. So I know the Gators are chomping at the bit to get this thing back competitive. Before we get into all of that, I do want to start things off, though, with you, Colin, with the name. You have already diminished the fact that Georgia and Florida, that Jacksonville, Florida, is not that big. You've already said not impressed with the size of Jacksonville, Florida. How impressed are you with the size of this outdoor cocktail party? Because you know the name, the greatest, the largest outdoor cocktail party, Florida, Georgia, though it's not professionally called that anymore, it is that. Have you been impressed by the tailgate so far?
Yeah, tailgate's been good. We're on the Georgia side, so that's apparent. A lot of Georgia fans here. They travel very well. I know Georgia's not far from here. I know Jacksonville. It's the north part. This is the
right
south more so than like what South Florida is. This is like a true southern city. So because of that, I'm impressed with how Georgia has traveled. They were here earlier in the morning. I pulled up here to the tailgate area around 8 in the morning, and there were Georgia fans already got the smokers out. It's got a little southern charm, ribs, doing the barbecue route. Yeah. It's got a lot of charm. I'm impressed with the actual tailgate scene. I'm impressed with the fans that are here. I think it's quite civilized, believe it or not. This is not. I haven't seen a lot of animosity.
It's chill, and you know what? Part of that is because they do kind of segregate the two fan bases, not only in the stadium but via tailgate as well.
This is the neutral site thing.
Georgia.
You got backup. It's not. You're not showing up to Ohio State wearing a Michigan jersey.
Yeah.
You're showing up to Jacksonville with half your fan base, and the other half is Florida.
And it's been friendly banter. As we were over there by the DJ tent, I saw a couple of people doing a little friendly banter back and forth. But part of the reason why it's not going to be so contentious is it's two teams fighting for two different things right now, and the rivalry has been so one-sided as of late that I don't think that there's been those kind of data points like in '95 when Spurrier ran it up and there was animosity between the teams because they both were competitive, or any of the other big-time games that resound in people's minds like it's a little more chill these days, and I'm actually happy for it. The name itself, though, they earned it back in the 50s because of the fact that people party so hard around this big-time college football game. And I do think that on the field today, these teams can provide the kind of show that is going to have people out in Athens, Georgia, celebrating and partying even harder and starting to think national championship could be in their future this year. College football, very wide open this year, if you ask me, and especially the SEC, now that LSU's down, Florida's down. There's so many different routes that Georgia can have to not only being a good team, but a top 4 seed with a bye and a team that can actually recrown themselves as national champions, getting, 3 in the past 6 years. That'll be incredible.
Yeah, and Georgia's playing not to lose at this point. They're playing they have the resume available. Their sole loss is Alabama at home, which is, despite it being at home, a good loss.
Yeah.
They have the big Ole Miss win, who Ole Miss is probably also going to get in, so they have the head-to-head there. They just need to not trip up. If they don't trip up, they have the brand recognition, they got the coach, they have the team. They're going to likely get in, barring some unforeseen circumstances. So, and they have an easier schedule comparatively. I know they still got Georgia Tech, but if they're going to be in that SEC title game, which they might be, I know a lot needs to play out the rest of the year. If they're going to be in that game, they're going to win. And the rest of the way, I know they still got the Texas game. Texas is not what Texas usually is, and Mississippi State is one of the worst teams in the SEC. So they're in a good spot. They're playing not to lose. Starts today, but they're playing not to lose. One thing you said about the rivalry I want to bring back up. You said that, the banter's friendly, two teams fighting for two different things. You know what the root of a rivalry is? It's not the players, especially in this day and age of college football. You have brand new roster every single year, every single team. The guy who just transferred into Florida, from Washington State, doesn't have the rooted rivalry in his blood. You know who's the one who's supposed to showcase that and kind of illustrate that to the players? The coach. And I'm sure Kirby Smart does his part in making this feel big for Georgia and making the rivalry feel felt. But I think a lot of it is you need to have a consistent coach that can turn a rivalry into a rivalry. The fans do. There's no doubt about that. The fans do, but the players are not around here. The players are not hanging out outside. They understand it's a neutral site, big game, but they don't have that rooted interest like every single one of these fans do that has been rooting for this team their whole life. It's up to the coach to do that. The fact that Florida's been so up in the air, so left and right with their coach, I think actually hurts the rivalry.
Yeah.
That's why Harbaugh Day was great. Yes. There's a number of years for that. Then Sharon Moore comes out. I know Sharon Moore won it last year even with Harbaugh there. But I sit here and think that you need to have a coach that's rooted in the rivalry in order to make it feel big to the players. That's what I'd be nervous about.
That does help. Obviously, the coach is the consistency in college football.
It's a coach's sport.
It's a coach's sport. This right here it's also a very regional sport. It's a sport that is rich in traditions and its pageantry. And right here where we're at, sitting just outside of the Jaguar Stadium at Everbank Stadium, right where we're at in the midst of a lot of Georgia Bulldogs fans with a couple of Gators sprinkled in, it does feel like the heart of college football on this Saturday. I know we got Miami playing SMU. I know Ohio State's taking on Penn State. Those games matter, sure, but this game right here is going to matter. It's going to resonate. I don't know what's going to happen on that field, but I'm sure it'll be memorable to one side or the other. And I do think, I covered this team. I covered Georgia for 4 years when I was back in South Georgia around 2015 to 2019. Never got a chance to actually come out here to Everbank Stadium and see this game in person. I do think that this is one of those that could be a data point year because you're going to get obviously next year we're going to be, in Atlanta. And the year after that, they're going to come back and do it in Tampa before they come back for the renovated stadium here in Jacksonville. So it's going to be a while for a lot of these fans until they can come back and share the joy, share the love, share the traditions of pulling up to Jacksonville. So I do think that, man, this is going to be it's an important year for the rivalry. It just might not be a very competitive game once the thing gets kicked off. Yeah,
I'm nervous about the actual competitiveness of the game. I want a good game. If you're going to come all the way out here, you root for a good game, which is why I think it's fun. I think if you ask a lot of Georgia fans, I think they would almost prefer, in some capacity, deep down, they would prefer that Florida's pretty good. Because I think
no. Let's see, I got a Georgia fan right in front of us shaking his head. I don't think so.
Georgia fans should root for a good game.
He wants a blowout.
If you want Florida to stink, what are you doing? What are you doing? Let's think about it. I understand you want the other fan to suffer. Isn't it better? Doesn't it taste sweeter when you beat a team that's actually good? I understand.
Show him shaking his head. Thank you, Tina.
I don't understand.
All right, so, Colin, here's the one thing I'll ask, though. If you're Georgia, we got a Georgia fan right here. Be honest with me. Who would you prefer to be good? He's God and bourbon is his sticker on the back of his phone. Who would he prefer to be better? Georgia Tech, and then you get to play them at the end of the year and they're good, or Florida? You'd rather Tech be good. He'd rather Tech be good because also it's a non-conference foe, and again, it's at the back end of the year, and if they're good, it only can help them. If Florida's good, it can hurt you if you're Georgia.
Yeah, but Georgia, it should not be, playing their schedule to dodge big opponents. That's never been Georgia's way. They're not saying, I hope they stink, so we have an easy schedule. Go join the Big Ten if you want an easy schedule.
They want the Gators to suck. They want the Gators to be in misery. They absolutely do hate the Gators at their core.
I don't know. I view this as every sort of rivalry. I think you're wrong. I think the Georgia fan is wrong here. I think you should hope for the Florida teams to be good. Because even if they beat you, I'm not saying they should. I'm not saying you should root for that.
Yeah.
You should root for a competitive, deep-rooted, implicating rivalry. That, to me, is great.
No.
That's great. When Auburn and Alabama are both good, everybody's eyes widen. No, wow, yeah, the Iron Bowl's going to be great this year.
Do you think Alabama gets excited when Auburn's having a good year? Like, oh, my God, I can't wait because now that they're good, it's going to matter more.
I think Alabama, listen, the Iron Bowl is the Iron Bowl.
Yeah.
But I think if you could ask certain Alabama fans that care more about the eventual Georgia game than they do the Auburn game. That's because Auburn's not any good and hasn't been any good in a number of years.
Yeah, and I can't agree with you on that one is you're going to wake up a little earlier ahead of the Georgia game, Georgia versus Bama.
Just because they're great. Just because you know they're going to be great
Yeah.
every year.
Yeah.
That, to me, is when it's a lot of fun.
I can agree with you on that. What we both can also agree with on each other on, and we talked about it earlier, is, oh, my goodness, the amount of coach openings right now in college football and what we anticipate to be open by the end of this season is absolutely astronomical. There's huge jobs available everywhere, including the Florida Gators. We'll talk about the coaching carousel. We'll rank the top openings as well as talk about who is a team that is absolutely tanking their chances in college football to nail down the coach that they probably prefer. I think they're ruining their credibility right now, and they're in the SEC. And if you've been paying attention to the news around college football, you know exactly who I'm talking about. We give you that and more on the other side. This is the Michelob Ultra Cocktail Tailgate Party Show, whatever you want to call it, and we're on ESPN 106.3.
Kaiser University's flagship campus. The 100-acre residential campus at 2600 North Military Trail in West Palm Beach extends Kaiser University's educational offerings to over 100 degrees. Kaiser University also has an athletic program with 26 national championships, including back-to-back-to-back lacrosse titles, and they just won their first ever national championship for men's tennis. Visit KUCHawks.com for the latest.
And welcome back for Colin Russo. It's Theo Dorsey. We are grooving and moving here, getting closer and closer to kickoff at Everbank Stadium, Florida versus Georgia. Or if Georgia fans are around, I'll say Georgia, Florida. But it's the cocktail party. You know what it is, baby. Colin, I'm excited for this game. I'm also kind of excited to see, like, 3 months from now, what this college football coaching carousel actually ends up looking like. Because it is absolutely wide open right now. You got guys in positions at big schools who are being flirted as top names for big schools. So, like, it's not just about where Lane Kiffin goes. Somebody's got to fill in his shoes at Ole Miss. James Franklin is available, and he got on game day and said, I'm ready to coach. I want to win a national championship in 2026. You got guys like Jimbo Fisher coming out of the woodwork saying, I want to get Pat Fitzgerald from the Big Ten country, from your neck of the woods, saying he wants to get back active. It is going to be an absolutely insane coaching carousel this offseason.
It's the best year possible for the coach that is looking for a restructured contract and wants to stay with their team. For example, the Mike Elkos of the world, who coaches at Texas A&M, makes $7 million a year. You don't think that's going to balloon to about $10 or $11 million at the end of the year?
Yeah.
Kurt Signetti already makes $11+ million a year from Indiana. And it's a school that didn't spend any money on football. And now all of a sudden, because of leverage, because there are now multiple Tier A, Tier B jobs that are available or soon to be available, and there are some out there. So because of that, it's the best year possible for the coach that doesn't necessarily want to leave, but wants a little bit more money.
Yeah.
That's where they really benefit, because you think about it, outside of that, there have been more big-time coaches retiring than restructuring, and a lot of the biggest coaches in the sport are at places that they either want to retire at or they'll leave if they end up going professional. They're comfortable. Dan Lanning at Oregon's comfortable. He's not going anywhere. Kirby Smart, Georgia, we know he's not going anywhere. Ryan Day at Ohio State is not going anywhere. Marcus Freeman, despite what some Florida fans say, is not going anywhere from Notre Dame. Steve Sarkisian over at Texas, who I think is overrated, but nonetheless, he's not going anywhere. So those are the coaches right then, period, that are safe, that those who want to be the ones that you call for the Tier A jobs. Those guys are not leaving.
Yeah.
So now you got to get creative, because there are not one, not two, I'd even make an argument for 3 Tier A jobs in college football that are going to be available.
We're going to talk about those 3 jobs. You'll talk about all the coaches that are not leaving. I know one coach that I know is definitively leaving, and his name is Eli Drinkwitz, and he coaches at Missouri. That is a guy that is like front of the clubhouse. He's probably on Indeed.com, updating it every day. He's got his resume handy. He's walking. He probably walks into college football game days on Saturday with his resume and with his phone like on loud on the sidelines, just in case somebody calls.
Just in case somebody calls. Yeah, he's somebody that's definitely on the outside looking.
Is that a Gainesville number?
Yeah. I thought it was going to be Matt Rule as well, but Matt Rule just signed another extension, maybe to increase the buyout with Nebraska. So, I mean, it really is. I don't know with these coaches whether it's a money thing or it's a stability thing.
Yeah.
Because some of these guys are egotistical to the point that they want to coach the biggest school at the biggest time with the most pressure. Some guys are wired like that. That's why they'll continue to rise through the ranks. Some guys, I think, have to view this coaching carousel and where they're at as a comfortability rating. Hey, you're making $7-8 million. I can't speak for people making $7-8 million. I'm not making $7-8 million, but what difference is that between $8 to $10 million with that much more pressure and less job stability?
Yeah,
but
you got to figure a whole new place out.
Coaching is an egotistical endeavor. It's an egotistical sport within the sport. All of them want to be – it's like having a boat. They want to have the biggest boat, the fastest car. That's exactly what they want when they coach at Alabama or they coach at LSU. This is why these guys leave. But I look at Lane Kiffin – what reason do you have to go anywhere? Why would you want to go anywhere?
Because he's Lane. He wants to be in the headlines anyways, even if he doesn't leave.
And some guys are wired like that. Some guys want to continue moving. They want to continue moving up.
Yeah.
Matt Rule's at Nebraska. I know he went to Penn State, but you're comfortable. Nebraska's a big program.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's a proud program. That's not that good. You don't need to do that much great in order to hang around. So, it makes me think about the type of coach that will leave and why they leave.
Yeah.
That makes this type of carousel fascinating.
All right, so you flirted at it already, and there is a top 3 right now of job openings that are currently open. Now, again, we can find out about Florida State somewhere down the line. We can find out about Auburn down the line. Right, there's other job, Michigan State. There's three games in town. There's 3 shows in town right now. That is LSU, that is Penn State, and that is the Florida Gators. Those are the 3 openings that if you are a coach, those are the prime time spots. We're going to rank them individually on which one is actually one of the hotter, more attractive places to go. And I'm going to give you a hint. That spot over there in Baton Rouge, I know it's the SEC. I know that 3 of the last 4 coaches have won national championships, and the only one that hasn't is the guy that walked in trying to fake a Southern accent and Brian Kelly. And I know what the talent is like in Louisiana. You ain't got to tell me. My family's from New Orleans, right over the Marrero Bridge. Right over the Huey P. Long and Marrero. I got roots in Louisiana. I get it. That's going to be number 3 for me, though. LSU right now is going to be number 3 for me because they are ruining it for themselves by muddying the waters around what college football is supposed to be. I'm not going to talk about it. Some people need to stay out of it. Let the school and the football guys figure out the football. Right now, that is the least attractive job of the big 3 when you think about Penn State and you think about Florida. So then it comes down to, if you're me, which do you prefer? An easier route to the college football 12-team playoff if you're at Penn State, because you don't have to go through the rigmarole or whatever you want of the SEC schedule. You don't have to go through Florida State and Miami right in your backyard, poaching away. UCF is on the rise, right in your backyard. USF looks good this year, poaching away recruits left and right within your own state. In Penn State, you can have a greater wall around your pipeline out there. And also, I don't think the money is that much different between a Penn State and a Florida. So at that point, if you are a coach looking for a job, it's more up to you. Do you got family in the Northeast? Do you want that lifestyle? Have you always wanted to coach in the SEC? It's kind of one of those preference things, but for me specifically, me individually, I would have to say the better job is going to be Penn State, because the expectations that come with coaching at Florida, I think, mitigate a lot of the great things that make it an attractive job. So I'm going Penn State number 1 as the top job opening of the big 3 right now. Florida number 2, and a far cry of a number 3 right now is LSU. And the reason why I can make it that much of a deal is because there's so many options out there right now. Why would you sign up for a circus? Why would you sign up for a circus right now?
Now, the one thing I'll say in response to that is I disagree with you. I don't think LSU is the 3rd on this list. What school of those 3 that you just mentioned is not in some capacity a circus? Is Florida not a circus to you?
Florida's not a circus.
Florida's a circus.
Florida's not a circus in that way. Florida's not a circus in the way in which right now you don't have a president, an athletic director, or a head coach. You also have politics muddying the water around your very school, not even just the sport, but the school. And on top of all of that, LSU is in a place where it is like you have alumni, you have current football players in the NFL, current guys in that locker room, and it seems everybody is divided. The only thing they could all agree on is they hate Brian Kelly. Everybody hates Brian Kelly. That's the one unifying force around Baton Rouge.
You're right.
Of that is divisive.
The politics, the governor getting involved is a disgrace. He should step aside from that.
Terrible.
Another thing is, 2 things can be true. That AD stunk. And you want to talk about the AD?
Did he stink?
Hey, same guy who hired Jimbo Fisher at Texas A&M
that is
and paid the $70 million. They were in the red for 5 years.
No, he hired Jimbo Fisher, and Jimbo Fisher was good while he was there. He left. They gave an extension to Jimbo because you know how it goes. There was probably job openings going on. And that extension is what that made that buyout so incredible.
Was a question mark all around. The guy, listen, the one thing about LSU is it's got a great athletic department. You know, it's great in baseball. It's great in softball.
He's the AD. He gets credit for all of that.
Totally. But the one thing I'll say is they wanted to change of pace at athletic at an AD.
Yeah.
Okay. The fact that where it came from is the real problem. Now, if you think you're going to have a pseudo AD in the governor breathing down your neck,
ridiculous stuff.
That's where you start to turn your head and think, boy, oh boy. But the one thing I'll add to this is the thing about LSU that's interesting is LSU, in my opinion, is as close to a quote-unquote blue blood as there is in terms of an opening. Ever since Nick Saban left, I mean, it's a bigger job than Penn State because 3 of the last 4 coaches who have coached at LSU won titles.
Yeah.
That includes Saban, Miles, and then Orgeron.
Yeah.
And I understand the Brian Kelly went 34-14. You know, he basically – you know, he coached well. I mean, they were good in the SEC. They weren't great,
that program,
and he still left. And then he still got kicked out. The one thing about LSU is it's riddled in success. You don't have a lot of in-state competition. Louisiana is a talent-rich state, and on top of that, it's a upper-tier, upper-echelon home environment in the SEC. It's got great fans. It's got a great I guess, NFL base of alumni.
Oh, my goodness,
And
yeah.
they have a ton of money.
That's
So I
inarguable,
agree.
though.
If you're worried about the politics that much, I think there's so much more politics going on behind the scenes at every school that we don't know about. I think
Yeah.
this just one public. I'd be surprised if Florida's governor, Ohio's governor, Wisconsin's governor, New Jersey's governor,
Yeah.
North Carolina's governor are all not involved in some capacity with their state schools program.
They aren't, though. They aren't. They're involved with helping to appoint the board of advisors, that's the job when it's a public school in your state. But you're not involved in saying, oh, no, that athletic director's not allowed to hire a coach, and he needs to go and be fired, and then flirting around with who he's going to select a new coach. Like, you should not have your hands in the pot of that publicly nor privately.
To the same token, in this day and age of college sports, there are donors that donate millions and millions and millions of dollars.
Yes.
You make decisions based on them just as much as the governor.
They're the one. No, they're the ones with the motion. The boosters are the ones that get to
so
do
like
it.
your answer, they could be politically charged or not. It doesn't make a difference whether they're an actual politician. You're still abiding by somebody else's rules. The AD is still abiding by the people who cut the checks. And on the same token, the coach is still going to abide by the boosters and the real people that make the decisions. That's the one thing I'll add to that as well.
I hate it for my boy there that gets fired because Brian Kelly sucks, not just as a coach, but as a human being.
It was partially his fault.
I know.
Give him some flack.
But, gymnastics is winning national titles.
Oh, it's a great athletic. It's as good of an athletic
baseball.
department is in the country.
So I'm just like, I think at some point the athletic director, yes, you judge him most by football, but I think also there's a wider resume of things he's done since 2019. That's neither here nor there. I don't give a damn who LSU has as their athletic director. I do think it makes them a bottom tier of the top 3 jobs because of the muddied water of the political scene out there with LSU. You don't want those two things mixing. Sports is the one great unifier. It's the one place that everybody from all kinds of walks of life can pick a spot and agree on one thing and cheer for or against one thing, but it's all in the love of the game. You don't want that kind of stuff intruding into a locker room, intruding into a fan base, intruding into your alumni and whatnot. It just is not a good look. But for you, if you look at Penn State, if you look at LSU, you look at Florida, how do you rank those 3 job openings right now if you're a head coach looking for a spot?
I think Florida's the bottom. I'll start bottom to top. Florida's the bottom for a lot of reasons. Number one, we've talked about, you don't want to say the word circus. It's been close to it. It's been a complete whirlwind of coach in, coach out. Now you have a lot of additional competition, and that's a word in athletic departments with basketball. Basketball is really, really good. To put together a national contending basketball team, that is millions of dollars per year in players. So not only that, you have an internal competition base. I know some people think, all business is good business. When everybody's good, everybody's good. It's not always the case. You have to deal with cutting checks, and I understand Florida has maybe an open checkbook, but you have basketball there that you're going to have to compete with.
Football's always going to be king.
Well.
Football's always going to be king, but you're right. There is more of a
LSU,
sharing
you don't
of the
have
pie.
to deal with that. Neither does Penn State, right? Because they put money into it. They don't put money.
Penn State's got a
into
basketball team?
Right. Exactly. So I think Florida's the bottom because nobody's been able to figure it out there. You have a ton of in-state competition in terms of recruiting for talent. We know the hotbed of talent that is all over Florida, especially South Florida. The University of Florida has to compete with that. So that makes it difficult on one front. Number 2, you're in the SEC, and you're not a feared SEC blue blood program.
Yeah.
They were probably 4 or 5.
But they can't be. They have been.
They have been, and that was 20 years ago. So I hear you. I hear you. But, what Alabama has done, what Georgia has done, you could even say Texas.
You can.
Right. And LSU is in that category. Teams like that invoke a little bit of fear and a brand recognition that resonates with today's current athlete. That doesn't resonate. The guy who's a 20-year-old or a 19-year-old looking to find a school doesn't look at Florida, and I understand they're all just following the money, but they don't look at Florida and think, boy, oh, boy, that's like going to Alabama.
No,
they don't.
And also, what hurts them is that Miami might be back. Miami might be.
Miami's
if
gonna
they're
be back.
competing year over year over year, that's going to hurt you both in the recruiting game and kind of when it comes to the attention and the money that's going to your program. Miami being good does not help.
And I also think there's so many universities in Florida that actually have relatively semi-competitive football teams. UCF, USF, all these teams are pretty good, and they're all getting Florida players on top of that. So it's so hard. Think about it comparatively to LSU. LSU's comparing who
they
they
get the
competing
whole
with.
state.
Tulane. Tulane is a private institution. It's different.
Yeah.
LSU is the only school that is really dealing, and Louisiana has talent. So that's why I would say Florida's the bottom. And in terms of 2, I view the SEC job as bigger than the Big Ten, but I understand they're both comparable. I can hear the argument that Penn State's number 1, and honestly, part of me agrees. The one thing is, the reason I'll put LSU at number 1 is because of the implication of what you're looking for. If a coach is taking the LSU job, he is thinking, I need to win a title. Yeah. That is the bar none expectation of taking that job. Penn State, you can't say that.
No.
Penn State could take that job, and you're thinking, boy, we just need to win a couple more big games than what Franklin did,
well,
which shouldn't be that hard. Go ahead.
It's funny. The James Franklin story, which I understand why that marriage ended, and I understand when it ended, why it was probably necessary for both parties, and it's good for him to move on. It's good for Penn State to move on. I am curious if 1 or 2 things go differently last year and they win in that Orange Bowl and make the national championship game. Because remember, they had a lead. Like that game, it felt like the Nittany Lions were going to prevail and get to the national title and eventually lose to Ohio State again. If they make it back to the national title game and get the big win over Notre Dame, or maybe if he had one more big game win and he wasn't thought of as this guy that kind of withers in the moment like
if
people
they won
talk
an
about
overtime
Lamar
against
Jackson.
Oregon.
Overtime against Oregon. There was the game against Ohio State even last year where it kind of looked more competitive on the scoreboard than it did during the game. I do wonder if things are different and he's still at Penn State.
Yeah, there were people that complained about how James Franklin, he went 11-1 last year. He was in the college football playoff semifinal, and he gets basically thrown out to the curb, packing your bags.
As if Penn State's that kind of program.
This has been a boiling over process for about 4 or 5 years now. This is not necessarily a one-off, we need to get rid of you, a panic move button. They have given him 12 years to figure something out. You can't just take the previous year and then vindicate the rest of it just because you beat Boise State in a college football.
That's the issue. Is if it was somebody other than Boise State, I feel like things are different.
The points still apply.
Yeah.
They never beat a big-time, great group, Power 4 team, and they never, ever showed up when the actual lights were brightest and they were maybe a little bit of an underdog going in. Yeah. They never did that. So that was a boiling over process. The one thing about Penn State that I think is good is the next guy's going to get a good leash. You're going to have 4, 5, 6 easy years, unless you're terrible, to be able to figure it out. And the fact is, you're going to have Maryland, you're going to have Rutgers, you're going to have Nebraska, you're going to have Purdue, Northwestern. You're going to have teams like that on your schedule every single year. Getting to 8 wins is not impossible.
Yep, barbecue chicken.
Not impossible.
Yeah.
So LSU, you go 9-3. All right, well, people are breathing down your neck. I think it's for the guy who's trying to win a title goes to LSU. The guy who wants a little bit of stability and wants just a great job, comfy, great program, but doesn't necessarily have the pressure of winning the title, they go to Penn State.
So, hey, work-life balance. I'm a big proponent of that. I don't think the final score today, as we are sitting outside of Everbank Stadium, closing in on kickoff, about an hour and a half out from Florida, Georgia, I don't think there's going to be much balance on the field today. I do think there's going to be a bloodbath in favor of those folks from Athens. I think that the Dogs will pound today. Number 5, Georgia, 6-1, taking on 3-4 Florida here in a big-time college football rivalry. But one thing of note, Georgia, as they're nationally ranked and Florida hasn't, has not actually lost to an unranked team under Kirby Smart since 2019. That was the last year the Dogs were upset by an unranked team. There is something for the Gators to play for. There is a reason why these guys are going to show up in this rivalry game. In the first quarter, especially at least, it is going to look intense. It'll look fun. They're going to have some moments. They want to play spoiler to their rival here today. I just don't think they'll have 4 quarters in them to do it. We'll talk more about the game, the rivalry, and this beautiful cocktail party and tailgate as we continue the show. For Colin Russo, I'm Theo Dorsey. We are on ESPN 106.3.
Hey guys, listen to me. I need all your eyes in here. This is what we train for. This is what we work for. This is who we are.
Welcome to the Ultra Tailgate Show. When you line up against your friends with a Michelob Ultra on the line, competition isn't friendly, the trash talk, rivalry level, and the stakes as clear as the scoreboard.
Gators bringing some pressure. It's picked off.
With only 95 calories and superior smooth taste, it's the ultimate trophy. Superior is worth playing for. Michelob Ultra Superior Light Beer.
It is a glorious day for some SEC football.
It's time for the Ultra Cocktail Party. Now, here are Theo Dorsey and Colin Russo.
We're in Jacksonville, a rivalry separated by the St. Mary's River, separated by love and hate, separated by two fan bases that can only agree on maybe one thing, and that's that they will not be shouting Roll Tide, neither Georgia or Florida.
Jalen Hurts, Alabama jersey,
Alabama.
walking around here.
Yeah. There's a guy, there's a Bama fan here sporting happily his Jalen Hurts jersey who walked over here and told us to tell the folks Roll Tide, but I want to get out of here with all of my limbs intact.
Yeah.
We've already criticized the city of Jacksonville for its landmass. That was Colin.
Do you disagree with this?
I'm not disagreeing with facts. I think the facts are.
I mean, the facts are wrong.
The facts are what is called and considered incorporated Jacksonville. The actual square footage of it is the most in the contiguous United States. That is the biggest city by landmass in the United States. Is it a big city? Absolutely not. It's not.
I'm looking at this right now. It's 4 cities by land area, largest United States cities by land area.
Okay, all right, give it to me.
4 in Alaska: Sitka, Juneau, Wrangell,
contiguous
Anchorage.
United States in the continent.
Jacksonville, Florida.
Yeah.
747 square miles.
That's a lot of square miles.
There's 3 of them with buildings in it. This is.
I mean, this still counts, though, is all I'm saying. I'm saying it counts, but, like, nobody's considering this like the big city. Like, nobody's like, yo, I'm going up to the big city this weekend. Oh, really? Where are you going? Jacksonville. It's never happened.
Nobody's ever said that.
Yeah.
Nobody's ever. Listen,
but it is technically a big city.
Just because the guy who created. Good question. I don't know who does it.
Terrible
I don't know
artist.
who set up the counties. You know, you're right. You know, when you go to New York City, or you go to Los Angeles, Houston, you got these little sub communities, these sub towns, parts of the city that make it different. That's the only reason Jacksonville has this title. It's the only reason. You know what I like? I actually like the stadium. I actually like where it's located.
Well, it's about to go away.
Right, they're about to renovate it. It's not going to
It's
demolish
gone.
it.
Hey, whatever happened to it being called Trevor Bank Stadium? Did they just not like how it's
They did it one game, and you know, Trevor. You don't know what type of Trevor Lawrence you're going to get. The Trevor Lawrence that makes you want to rip your hair out, or the Trevor Lawrence that's going to walk you down the field against the Chiefs.
It felt like a good idea, but he's not good enough to make it a good idea, so
Absolutely.
it didn't work out.
You got to do somebody else.
Yeah.
But I actually like the stadium.
Okay.
And I actually was able to see Jacksonville at night last night. It was Halloween night. There was a huge rivalry in town. To my understanding, downtown Jacksonville is not the mecca of where people go.
Where
It's
do
quiet.
they go?
I don't know. I bet the beaches, elsewhere. I don't know.
Did you ask anybody where do you go?
But everybody has a different answer. Some people say,
Okay.
oh, you got to go a little south of the city. Some people say you got to go to the beaches. Some people say you got to go a little east.
So it's a big city. So you just
Here's the thing. The beach is 15 miles east of the city. It's not the city.
Oh, it's not the
That
city,
is
okay.
another town next to the city.
Okay.
That's like, West Palm. How about West Palm just absorbs everything to Miami?
That's what I'm saying.
And then West Palm is the biggest city in the United States.
Well, Palm Beach County is the biggest county in Florida, I believe, by landmass.
See, that makes sense. Well, nobody's arguing about counties. That's different.
that's
I'm
different,
talking about the city itself. It's like West Palm absorbing, Boynton down to Boca and all these places, and even out west, Mock, Vero. That's all West Palm Beach now. Now West Palm Beach is one of those great all-time big cities.
And that's
about development.
That's why I think that it was more of a lazy thing, whereas back in the day they just drew a big line around all of this place. Half of it was uninhabited and said, this is all Jacksonville.
Yeah, we can't get anybody out there, so we can't actually have somebody in person to see it. This is
Jacksonville.
ballpark. There's Jacksonville.
This guy's walking around just like, all right, this is Jacksonville, and this is just planting flags everywhere left and right. I think that's how it went. This rivalry itself, we can maybe agree that Jacksonville's not as big as they say. This rivalry, Florida and Georgia can't even agree on when it started, right? Like, they really hate each other. I think Amber Wilson was telling us earlier, and we'll have her on the show later on here, that there's a delineation between did it start in 1905 or in 1915? Has there been 104 games or 103 games? Is it called Florida-Georgia or Georgia-Florida? There's a lot of disagreement in it, which I actually like.
What do you call it?
I call it Florida-Georgia.
I do too.
I always have.
Alphabetically.
Yeah, it just feels better. It flows better. Georgia, Florida doesn't flow. So that's my one sticking point. Georgia's going to knock their socks off.
Phonetically, it makes sense. Yes.
Yeah, Georgia's going to knock their socks off today. I'll give them that. But it should be called Florida Georgia. It actually should go back to its old moniker that they don't use anymore of the world's largest outdoor cocktail party. I think that's also, let's just ride with that still.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Good.
No problem. And if you want to write home with which name is first, I wouldn't read too much into that because one team has completely dominated the matchup. So if you really wanted to make it off of that, maybe the team who wins the previous year gets the title the next year. That's actually a fun idea.
That's what it should be.
It would be Georgia, Florida every single year. But I agree with you.
I just say that. I don't think Florida would sign up for that.
Yeah, right. But I actually like it. I agree. The Florida-Georgia makes a lot more phonetic sense. It rolls better.
And shout out to journalism because that's how they earned that name about the cocktail party. A journalist like in the 50s was like, yeah, I saw a drunk dude handing a beer to a cop, and I was like, yeah, this is absolutely insane behavior, and that is how we birthed the name of a beautiful rivalry. We need better names for rivalries. We need better nicknames in sports these days. Maybe that'll be my ultimate goal. I don't want to write a book. I don't think that I feel like writing a bunch of chapters, but it's just a lot. It's a lot to take on. I do want to name a rivalry or give a nickname to a player that actually ends up being legendary. I think that's the kind of legacy I want to leave behind here in sports.
You want to have
I want to be
a
the guy
big
that
one
names
that sticks.
something.
You want to, yeah, a big something that sticks.
Like there was I believe Magic Johnson earned that nickname, Irving Johnson, that Magic, by a reporter writing on, talking about how it was like magic, him with the ball. Michael Jordan earned some of his many nicknames from journalists. Shaq names himself left and right. So I don't know if that counts. Are there any great nicknames in football, like in the NFL?
Prime time.
Prime is great.
Yeah,
he
Prime
named
is
himself,
great.
I think.
Did he? I don't know if he did. I feel like Dion was given that one. Maybe I'm
You
wrong.
think so?
Maybe I'm wrong. Hey, classic Dion. Maybe when he's, Falcons. I'm prime time.
He was doing prime, I think, back at Florida State.
Yeah, maybe.
You know what I'm saying?
So
yeah.
I think there's probably something to that. But there's
That's a good
something.
one.
That is a good for as guys who talk about it all
Yeah.
the time. That is a good legacy leaving thing. Is when you have something that sticks.
When it sticks, and they're like forever, they're calling it the cocktail party.
It's like
because
that one guy who
dude.
came up with the Catholics versus Convicts T-shirt.
He's great.
And there was one guy, and they got he got a 30 for 30 made about him, and it was just some guy selling T-shirts.
Imagine
and
if he trademarked it. Imagine if how much money he would have made off of all of that.
Yeah, I mean, who knew?
Foresight.
You would have had to trademark it if you came up with a big nickname.
Well, I'm gonna start coming up with big nicknames and just seeing how
And
much.
just start
it is. Yeah.
trademarking it, and then one of them has to stick, and then you're gonna make a boatload of money.
It's better than entering the lottery. You know what I'm saying? It's better than entering the lottery. By the way, shout out to the fans because we were able to, through Michelob Ultra, upgrade 4 fan seats to the lower bowl earlier on. We gave away some tickets to the Tennessee game later in the season
Absolutely,
as well.
yeah.
People
A
are
bunch of
coming up.
memorabilia. Tim Tebow signed a picture of Tim Tebow at Florida. Some
yeah.
Herschel Walker signed memorabilia.
That's tough.
A lot of good stuff from Mick Ultra and Palm Beach Autographs.
That's why I'm glad to do things like this, not just to engage with the fans here ahead of Florida, Georgia, ahead of one of the prime and most prestigious college football rivalries, especially in the South, but also to be able to see fans have their day made and enjoy themselves before, again, I hope one or two of the fans that did win some tickets, win some memorabilia, was a Florida fan, because, again, I will say I don't think it's going to be a great day for them. I just don't think it's going to be a great day.
Is there a part of you that roots for a rival? Like, let's say you're a part of a rivalry.
Yeah.
Do you root for your rival to be good?
No.
For the game.
So
for the game
So what's funny,
purposes.
I'm a Miami Hurricanes fan. And what's funny is,
Don't you want Florida State, Florida to be good
Yeah.
so those games are big?
yeah, so this year I'm very ticked off at both Florida State and Florida.
Especially Florida State for losing the Virginia game the week earlier.
Yes, and they both did it. Florida takes all the wind out of the sails of the game this year because they lose the USF the weekend
that's
before.
right.
And then Florida State does the same thing with Virginia. So it kind of did hurt, and it is better when your team can beat another good team in a rivalry. But I will say, especially when the game is done, and even before the game, I do enjoy to see their tears. Like, I as much as I wanted them to win that game on Friday night against Virginia, I did enjoy seeing them
fans
suffer.
of bad teams don't cry. Fans of great teams that lose tragically,
Yeah.
that's when the tears really come.
Well, what do you consider Florida State? Not great.
I
not bad.
don't think Florida State fans are crying if and when they lose each week. No.
Well, they
If you were a
desensitized to it from
playoff
last year.
hopeful team, if Florida came in today with one loss and they lost this game and effectively knocked them out of the college football playoff contention, that draws tears.
Yeah.
That's real rivalry right there. That's why for me, I like rooting for a good game. I always want as good of a game as possible. That is just what I root for. And for me, if whatever part of a rivalry I'm into, it's better for everybody when both sides are great.
Oh, man.
I'm surprised you're not in the same boat as this. Because if
I
the team
agree with you
stinks,
that it's better
if
for
I'm a
everybody
Georgia
that-
fan of this game, I'm a little annoyed that I thought everybody thought Florida was going to be really good. Probably spent a lot of money on the tickets going into the year. Knew ahead of time that we were going to go to Georgia, Florida the last year in Jacksonville. Maybe Florida's going to be really good this year with Lagway returning and another year in Napier. And now you walk in, the team's below 500 and fired their coach. I'd be sitting there thinking, well, this game, yeah, it's fun,
Yeah.
but it's not as
You want to win.
intriguing.
But you want to win.
Intriguing.
You don't want to be intrigued. You want to win. They don't want a nail biter. They don't want to go to overtime. They want by halftime to be able to say, you know what, I can wait in this line for beer a little longer and miss the front end of the third quarter because I know how this thing is going to go. You want peace. You want to have a fun day. You don't want to have a thriller. Now, if you can promise the fans that they're going to end up on the right side of it, then sure, everybody wants the thriller. They want it to come down to the end. But on the other side of heartbreak on the other side of the exhilaration of a win is heartbreak, and that is like the worst feeling in the world. How do you think Bills fans felt about 13 seconds? Great game, Colin.
As compared to what? As compared to the Bills stinking?
I mean,
Well, you think they would rather stink than play in that game? Just because they can't? You think the Bills would have rather not go to any of the Super Bowls at all than to go to 4 straight? I think they'd rather go to 4 straight.
you want to be in the 4 straight Super Bowls, yes. You want to be competitive. You want to be in the games. But what I'm saying is you want to win more than anything else. You know? Like, I think even, like, it's
Part of being a sports fan, the funny part is, sports fans, 95% of them, they experience losing about 100 times more than they experience
of course,
winning.
it's way
which
more
is
losing.
why winning tastes better. It's why it tastes sweeter whenever they win, if and when it's a one-year thing or it's
Yeah.
a big-time game thing. Winner's fatigue is real. And I think when you're a team or a fan of a team like Georgia and you're not challenging this game therefore does not feel as big to you.
Well, Georgia's won 7 of the last 8. Georgia's favored by 7.5 points in this one. They are number 5 in the nation, and Florida does not have a winning record. So I do wonder if they're going to start feeling winner's fatigue in the cocktail party. We'll find out here soon. We're about an hour out from kickoff. We're going to go to break. On the other side, Colin, we do have some questions around the greater span of college football. We also got questions in our own backyard back around West Palm Beach about what the hell is going on with the Miami Dolphins right now. They also are without a coach. I saw somebody flirting today that Lane Kiffin could be a candidate.
No.
I mean, they technically do have a coach in Mike McDaniel, but he's a dead man walking. I want to talk about that and about Florida and Miami, the Gators as juxtaposed to the Miami Dolphins right now, how both of these two programs stand in their respective sports, and which one will be the next to win a playoff game. Not make the playoffs, but win a playoff game now that we got a 12-team playoff in college football. That's Colin Russo. I'm Theo Dorsey. This is the Mick Ultra Tailgate Show on ESPN 106.3.
Kaiser University's flagship campus. The 100-acre residential campus at 2600 North Military Trail in West Palm Beach extends Kaiser University's educational offerings to over 100 degrees. Kaiser University also has an athletic program with 26 national championships, including back-to-back-to-back lacrosse titles, and they just won their first ever national championship for men's tennis. Visit KUSeahawks.com for the latest on the championship flagship campus of Kaiser University.
It's Tina. You know how important it is to keep your car running. And when it comes to my car, I only trust St. Lucie Battery and Tire. They've been taking care of South Florida for over 50 years, and they're still family owned. Need new tires? They've got all the big brands. Battery issues? They've got it. Cars, trucks, boats, RVs, and even commercial fleets. And if you ever get stuck, their 24/7 roadside emergency service is a total lifesaver. Go see my friends at St. Lucie Battery and Tire, slbt.com. They'll keep you going.
For nearly 30 years, Jay Zolo & Associates has helped local businesses harness the full power of QuickBooks. This holiday season, they're thankful for the confidence their clients place in them year after year. From setup and cleanup to troubleshooting, management, and personalized QuickBooks training, Jay Zolo brings clarity and reliability to your financial process. Jay Zolo makes QuickBooks work the way it should for the way you work. Visit jzolo.com to learn more. That's JZOLLO.com.
It doesn't matter if you're running drills at the park, playing pickup on a Saturday, or sinking the final putt. When you compete with your friends with Michelob Ultra on the line, competition isn't that friendly. The trash talk, next level, and the stakes, oh, those are crystal clear. With only 95 calories and superior smooth taste, it's the ultimate trophy. Superior is worth playing for. Michelob Ultra, superior light beer. Enjoy responsibly. Copyright 2025, Anheuser-Busch, Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
During football season, keep your home in the win column with EDS Air Conditioning. Right now, qualified customers can score 0% interest for 60 months on a brand new AC. Hot streaks belong on the field, not in your living room. With over 800 Google reviews and a 4.8 star rating, EDS is the trusted MVP since 2006. Visit EDSIsyes.com today, kick off your game day comfort, and don't sweat the small stuff.
Racetrack is proud to support our local high school football teams. Whether it's Friday night lights or tailgate parties, Racetrack has whatever gets you going to fuel all the gridiron excitement this fall. Grab your favorite snacks, crispy chips, delicious Nathan's hot dogs, sweet treats, or our house-made pizza slices. Don't forget to quench your thirst with a variety of ice-cold drinks. Racetrack, your one-stop shop to fuel your football Fridays.
Hey guys, Mike Rizzo here. I know you're moving soon. Don't stress it. Call Good Greek for your total relocation solution. From packing and storage to local and long-distance moves, Spiro and his team at Good Greek Moving and Storage has you covered from start to finish. Trusted by families, businesses, and teams like the Heat and the Hurricanes for over 2 decades. Make your next move simple, safe, and stress-free.
Good Greek Moving and Storage. Your superhero movers.
It doesn't matter if you're running drills at the park, playing pickup on a Saturday, or sinking the final putt. When you compete with your friends with Michelob Ultra on the line, competition isn't that friendly. The trash talk, next level. And the stakes, oh, those are crystal clear. With only 95 calories and superior smooth taste, it's the ultimate trophy. Superior is worth playing for. Michelob Ultra, superior light beer. Enjoy responsibly. Copyright 2025, Anheuser-Busch, Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Hey guys, listen to me. I need all your eyes in here. This is what we train for. This is what we work for. This is who we are.
Welcome to the Ultra Tailgate Show. When you line up against your friends with a Michelob Ultra on the line, competition isn't friendly, the trash talk, rivalry level, and the stakes as clear as the scoreboard.
Gators bringing some pressure. It's picked off.
With only 95 calories and superior smooth taste, it's the ultimate trophy. Superior is worth playing for. Michelob Ultra Superior Light Beer.
It is a glorious day for some SEC football.
It's time for the Ultra Cocktail Party. Now, here are Theo Dorsey and Colin Russo.
The big voice not lying to you, man. The delicious taste of victory deserves something equally superior. Cheer on your team with Michelob Ultra at 2.6 carbs and 95 calories. It's a superior smooth taste worth playing for. The superior game meets superior taste. Grab a Michelob Ultra Superior Light Beer as you cheer your team on, no matter what the team you're playing for has to do on the field, and no matter what team you're actually suiting up with. Make it superior with Michelob Ultra, a superior taste worth playing for. Anheuser-Busch reminds you to enjoy responsibly, and that's what we're doing out here at the cocktail party right outside of Everbank Stadium. It's me, Theo Dorsey, alongside Colin Russo. We're gearing up for some big-time college football and a rivalry that is really unmatched. I think they wouldn't admit it on either side, but this is, or maybe they would admit it, this is the more contentious and heated rivalry for each of these two fan bases. Like Georgia Tech doesn't have the steam. Florida and Florida State is good. It can be great, but Florida State's biggest rival is Miami. This right here, Florida-Georgia, is numero uno for both of these two programs, and that's why I think even on a down year for the Gators, they want this win really bad. I just don't think it'll be good.
There's nothing like playing spoiler. That's the only thing these teams have to play for this part of the year once you get that third or fourth loss, especially in the early part. Florida, and one thing about Florida is they were good at this last year. They did this exact same thing last year. They were remember the Ole Miss game, and even the Georgia game where they took them down to the wire as well.
Blackway doesn't get hurt, they might win.
Right. They were very, very good at playing spoiler. So if they could sort of tap into that ability again and just play with nothing to lose, maybe that's what you need out of Florida. Maybe that's what Florida's Napier-led Florida team, whether he's here or not, it's still partially his team.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just sort of the identity of them. They're great when they don't have anything to play for. Maybe that's it.
We're going to find out.
If they play great today, That's your take.
Yeah, and is that a good? That's a bad thing, though.
Right.
That's a horrible thing.
They had opportunities. They just never do it when they should.
Yeah, it's just oh my God. Well, he'll have no fear. When you're desperate, or also when there's no pressure, people do act and respond differently. So we'll see. We'll see if that's what it is.
Type of guy who's great with no pressure is Mike McDaniel. I'll tell you that.
Goodness.
That's somebody who loves coaching in an environment where they got nothing to play for. They got nothing to lose, and therefore they're going to be great.
He'll get his fair share of it this year, huh? He'll get his fair share of it because it looks like Stephen Ross is committing to him through the end of the year. We do know that Chris Greer, general manager, who's been with the team for 2+ decades, is now gone. They have mutually parted ways. The fancy way for saying the brother is fired, and it's all on Mike McDaniel and Tua to figure things out the rest of this year. Thursday Night Football was embarrassing. They are now 2-7. Tua Tagovailoa, because he's getting paid so much money. I mean, he's getting Brian Kelly buyout money next year, $54 million, no matter what happens. I do think that he likely is still starting for the Dolphins next year, even if they draft a guy, because you're not paying him that much money to sit on the bench. But here's what I am not concerned with, but curious about. How does Stephen Ross now manage, after he gets himself a new general manager, the future of these Miami Dolphins? He talked about being committed to being good over the next couple of years. He talked about turning things around and giving Miami what they deserve in a winning program, a winning franchise. What does he do? What steps does he take to make sure that actually happens in the AFC East, which is getting a little bit more contentious if you look around and see that the Bills are still good and the Patriots are now a force to reckon with. But on the other side of that, Colin, you have the Florida Gators, who have already done the first step, and that is fire your head coach and Billy Napier, who have already begun their coaching search and looking to turn the tide and see what does Gainesville look like now. What is Florida going to be in the next 3 or 4 years? They're already having those conversations and making moves on that right now. And those are two teams that have not won a playoff game in the past 15 years. Those are two teams that have ravenous fan bases that do want to see victories sooner than later. And I'm curious, which of those two teams actually not just returns to the playoffs, but wins a playoff game next, between the Florida Gators in college and the Miami Dolphins in the NFL. By the way, 25 years in running, they have the longest streak in professional sports without a playoff win, those Dolphins.
Just off statistics, I would have to say Florida. And I know that sounds crazy, but the way I view it is things can turn around quickly. Take a look at Indiana. All it takes is the right guy and the right system for 1 or 2 years, and everything, perception, perspective, how the team plays week by week, the national recognition via the team, that all can change in a 2-year period. Miami Dolphins, on the other hand, you mentioned the hole that they're in, especially at the quarterback position. They have a head coach that they don't necessarily want to fire at this time, but they know they need to fire at a certain point. They're going to be having a fresh new general manager. It's a lot harder to turn around an NFL team quickly into playoff sustained success comparatively to the college end, where all it is getting the right coach. Yeah. It's a CEO sport. Find your CEO, and everything else should work itself out. NFL, you need to have the right coach. You need to have the right general manager. You need to have good ownership. You need to have the right quarterback. You need to have a good offensive line. There's a lot more that goes into it that's a little bit more chess piece related. Comparatively, I'd say Florida. I would.
I will say, though, I think that there are ways in which you can flip this thing in 1 year in the NFL. Look at the Washington Commanders a couple of years ago. You get the coach, you get the quarterback, you're good. The year before that, the Houston Texans. You get the coach, you get the quarterback, you're good. Those are two teams that if we had that same conversation about the offseason before, we would say there's no way in hell they're winning a playoff game or even making the playoffs in the next 5 years.
Patriots are this year's version.
They did it overnight. The Patriots, again, they got the quarterback. Now they feel like they have the coach. They feel like they're in a good position. They're the leaders in the AFC East right now.
Right.
So it's doable in the NFL. The real question is, who do you have more faith to get it done? Because, again, you can do it in college football. We know that. The people in charge in Gainesville or the people in charge at related properties with Stephen Ross and the Miami Dolphins. And to be honest with you, I don't have a lot of confidence in either side. But Stephen Ross, he feels so tied up in all of the other ventures that he's in with the, and it's
basically building every building we see in West Palm Beach.
It's important stuff, so keep doing it, please. He feels so tied up in that stuff, though, that I am wondering, is it going to be like it's going to really depend on who they give it as their general manager.
Yeah.
It's going to really depend on who that is and how
or what
they
direction
run the
they
ship.
do it. Do they find a coach and then let the coach bring the general manager, go the Jets way? go the Jets way, or do you go the other way where you get the general manager and then you get the head coach?
I think you got to get the GM first, and I will say if you are going to go that route, if you're going to give Mike McDaniel more power than the GM and keep him and figure things out from there, you better be damn sure that he is the guy that you want to be the face of your franchise and that you want to be the leader and the person that people look towards, because he's a good play caller and a good schemer, but he doesn't seem like the leader that you would want as an NFL franchise.
Yeah, Florida's one of those teams where, there's confidence that Florida can figure it out in other sports. It's a great athletic program with other sports. Because of that gives me more confidence to believe that all you have to nail is one hire. You have to nail one hire.
Get the coach.
Miami Dolphins need to have 4 miracles. They need to have
got to draft
a quarterback miracle. They need a head coach miracle. They need a general manager miracle. They need an ownership miracle. They need about 4 or 5 different miracles to happen simultaneously, essentially. And then after that, they can really start to look towards start winning the playoff games. That's my perspective.
I like the idea of, everybody could use a miracle. And it sounds like if you're saying Miami needs 4 miracles and the Gators need 1, I'm going to side with you and say the Florida Gators can turn things around in a quick, fast, in a hurry. I think about guys like Clark Lee at Vanderbilt. He's about to get them into the college football playoff and potentially get a win. I think about guys like, think about what Cam Newton did that one-off year at Auburn. And then think about how robust the transfer portal is these days anyways, when you have guys who are able to be program changers who just become available. Joe Burrow to LSU. Like, it happens left and right these days. So finding a quarterback and acquiring the talent, you have a lot more control over that in college football. In the NFL, you need luck. You need development. You need also, once you do get that quarterback, to build around him the right way. It's just a lot different.
And you need injury luck. On top of that, you're also tying up over a long period of time. Tua Tagovailoa signs a 4 or 5 year extension. It's a little different than a coach or than a player in college going on a 1 or 2 year deal.
Yeah, you get rid of him. If you get the wrong quarterback at Florida, next year, guess what?
Well, try it again. Spin the wheel again. As long as we know we like the coach, that's the A+ hire that you need.
Yeah.
Everything else will figure itself out.
So I'll have to agree with you on that. Then the Gators, most likely to win a playoff. And think about that. It's the SEC still.
I know.
This
is a team that hasn't had any sort of playoff success in 20 years.
Yeah.
15, 20 years.
Yeah. They haven't been to the playoffs.
So it's a team that has been on the outside looking in, but that's because they have not nailed their A hire. They have not nailed their main hire, and they're going to have an opportunity to do that, and that changes everything. You get the right coach, your whole world can change. Look at Indiana. Indiana is the only – and I'm not saying Indiana coming from 0 to 100 is anything like what Florida is. Florida's trying to get back into the fold of things, not necessarily emerge themselves. But if they're able to get the right person who is able to elevate everything else, that's all you need. That is all you need. Whereas the Miami Dolphins need about 3 years' time elapsed just on the blink of an eye so they could get out of the Tua contract. They can figure out what they're going to do with Mike McDaniel. They're probably going to fire him at the end of the year. They need to rinse themselves of all these veteran contracts that they're tied up in, and they need to go completely from scratch. If you're going to wash it, wash it. If you're going to dump it all. That's what the Miami Dolphins need to do.
You know what's weird about the Dolphins right now in the situation with Mike McDaniel? I can't help but think, and wonder, would he prefer to be fired? Would he prefer to just be cut right now? Like, is he kind of let him out of his misery?
The one thing about firing somebody in the middle of the year is especially general manager and coach, you're basically leaving it Armageddon.
Yeah.
At some point, and there's also an argument for fighting for a good draft pick. All right, you're coaching, we've kind of washed this season. We bring in an interim coach, and all of a sudden this team has talent.
Winning,
they start winning. All right, hold on. Don't do that. Because then you're making us have to make a decision on you. And then, therefore, if and when we make a decision on you on whether to be our interim coach or new coach, if we have an interim in that spot, maybe the guy's great and maybe it works out. A lot of the times it does not. A lot of the time, Raheem Morris, a lot of the time, and I think he's an overrated coach. A lot of the times it doesn't work. But
Antonio Pierce.
Another one.
But Colin, Stephen Ross, he would never advocate for the Miami Dolphins to intentionally lose games for a better draft position. He would never offer payment to a coach for him to not.
That's not his perspective. That's the fans' perspective. You're right.
No, that was the allegations with Brian Flores. So it's I'm same guy few years later, same quarterback involved. At that point, they were tanking for Tua, quote unquote. And again, I think some of this stuff is still under kind of like litigation with the Flores stuff and the dog. But on the other side of it, we do know that there were allegations that Brian Flores was told directly from Stephen Ross, hey, go ahead and lose some games for me. And because he didn't, Ross got a little angered. So I do wonder if Mike McDaniel, on his way out, Stephen's like, hey, buddy, you got us into this Tua mess by making him look better than what he was. You told us to believe in him. We gave him a $50
You're going to
million.
get us out.
Yeah, look, you're going to go out there and you're going to be miserable. You can take
You're
going to
get us out of this mess.
But you're going to finish the job, and we need to be in the top
That
3.
5th overall pick. All of a sudden, that's an enticing. Think about it.
Yeah.
I know you're tied up with Tua. The good news is you have a good bridge quarterback. So we're looking way too far ahead
That
of
is true.
ourselves.
Tua is a good bridge quarterback. I will give him that.
But you have
I'll give him
Tua, who you know you can start games.
Expensive.
And you're going to have a new coach. I'm assuming McDaniel's going to be out. A new general manager at the same time.
Yeah.
And then potentially a new signal caller drafted in their first year. That's the way the Washington Commanders did it.
Yeah.
Is it replicable? Can it happen every time? Absolutely not. But a lot of times these teams get it wrong when they just get rid of the general manager and they keep the coach. And then all of a sudden they got the new quarterback, but they have a new coach who doesn't like the old quarterback. And then they get rid of the old quarterback, and then they get the new coach after the new quarterback.
And it's just like a cycle.
Tennessee
It's
Titans, Chicago Bears.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Those are your two teams. Let's do that without fail every single time. If you're going to wash it, wash it. That's what Washington did. They basically scrubbed themselves completely of everything from the Dan Snyder era and then moved into the Josh Harris era of their new ownership, and everything opened up for them. I know they're having a bad year, but everything opened up for them.
Yeah.
That's what the Miami Dolphins need. He's not selling the team, but it starts with a complete flush.
You think it's time in Arizona? I just got the news. I got the buzz this morning. Jacoby Brissett, Dwyer alum, state champion in Palm Beach County, Palm Beach Garden. Jacoby Brissett is getting the start on Monday Night Football against the Cowboys for the Cardinals. Kyler Murray's got a $50 million a year deal. I know it started with injury, but at this point it's starting to feel like it's a competence thing. Do you think it's the beginning of the end there in Arizona for Kyler?
That's another team that is going to probably look for ways out.
Tua West.
I do not know the financial implication of letting him go or giving him another year. The good news is, at the very least, after next year, there's definitely going to be an out. So you have a bridge. You could, and some people say it's a benefit to have these guys sit, or it's a benefit to not have these guys sit. Whatever argument you want to make, at the very least, you have somebody there that could at least carry the torch. You don't need to start a guy immediately. That's another team that's going to be looking for another out, because then you're going to start looking at the coach. There's contract associated with the player.
Yeah.
Jonathan Gannon hasn't done basically anything since that great Eagles year when he was hired from. And then outside of that, and he's got bad PR, with hitting the player and all this.
That was a bit much.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But outside of that, that's another team that's probably going to be looking out, which is why it's important for the Dolphins to get a good draft pick. That's why it's important.
They better get a draft
New
pick.
Orleans is going to get a quarterback. I mean, everybody who's bad is likely going to get a quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean, all these the Jets are going to get a quarterback. The Miami Dolphins are going to be in the market for a quarterback. You don't know what Arizona's going to do. Las Vegas is absolutely going to get a quarterback. So, because of that, there's not enough of them to go around. You need to be around for the first 3.
Is DJ Lagway a good quarterback?
No.
Yeah. We're going to find out more from him and the Gators. At least now we'll see him under a different Billy. Maybe he needed a new Billy to get his groove back. The cocktail party. Florida Gators versus the Georgia Bulldogs coming to you very soon here as we continue the Michelob Ultra Cocktail Tailgate Show. That is Colin Russo. I'm Theo Dorsey. We'll talk more on the game, and then soon Amber Wilson from ESPN Radio joins us to continue the conversation, and we are live on ESPN 106.3.
Hey guys, listen to me. I need all your eyes in here. This is what we train for. This is what we work for. This is who we are.
Welcome to the Ultra Tailgate Show. When you line up against your friends with a Michelob Ultra on the line, competition isn't friendly, the trash talk, rivalry level, and the stakes as clear as the scoreboard.
Gators bringing some pressure. It's picked off.
With only 95 calories and superior smooth taste, it's the ultimate trophy. Superior is worth playing for. Michelob Ultra Superior Light Beer.
It is a glorious day for some SEC football.
It's time for the Ultra Cocktail Party. Now, here are Theo Dorsey and Colin Russo.
As we gear up for Florida, Georgia, Miami is about to enter the fourth quarter, and they're knotted at 17 apiece with SMU. Oh, my goodness.
First game they played outside of Florida all year.
And look at how they're acting. They need to win big. They need a win. And you know what? When you need a win, the delicious taste of victory deserves something equally superior. Cheer on your team with Michelob Ultra. At 2.6 carbs and 95 calories, it's a superior smooth taste worth playing for. The superior game meets superior taste. Grab a Michelob Ultra Superior Light Beer as you cheer your team on. No matter what you're playing for, make it superior with Michelob Ultra. A superior taste worth playing for. Anheuser-Busch reminds you to drink responsibly. That is Colin Russo. I'm Theo Dorsey. We are live here in Jacksonville, reportedly, or at least as Google will tell you, the largest city in the contiguous United States, but Colin Russo refutes that fact still.
It's 747 square miles,
Yeah.
apparently Jacksonville is. I give it about 6 square miles.
Yeah.
That's where I'll draw the line.
He said you can walk the part of the city that is actually like where people are, and then the rest of it is just landmass that they're counting for stats.
It's fake stats. It's stat padding.
Yeah, it's stat padding.
They
It's
stat pad.
It's a stat pad
padding city. That's fine. Just understand it. You know, it's like it's playing in the Big 12 and breaking records. That's what this is.
Oh, man.
This is
Why
not-
Graham
this-
Harrell catching strays?
This is not SEC.
I do want to say, not SEC as well as the ACC, right? Miami, number 10 in the nation, facing SMU 5-3. Rhett Lashley's one of those names that is hot around the nation as one of the guys that could be a candidate, maybe for the Florida job.
Former Miami guy, too.
Former Miami guy, so he knows the Florida area. He can recruit it. Miami and SMU right now knotted at 17 in Dallas. The Canes have the ball in the fourth quarter, 14 minutes left. So let's see if Carson Beck can shake the funk of what it was like last time we saw him in a close game late, because that was absolutely ugly. Elsewhere in college football, number 1, Ohio State up 38-14 in the Big Ten. That is a blowout. That is a shellacking. I expect something similar from tonight's game, or excuse me, this afternoon, I guess, between Florida and Georgia. Clemson and Duke duking it out. 38 apiece right now. 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter. That's a pretty good game. And then Houston, number 23 in the nation, down by 3 to West Virginia at the end of 3. Later on, we got Oklahoma, Tennessee, another SEC showdown. Any of these games actually shocking you at all?
Miami loses this game, they're out.
It's over with.
They're out, right?
Yeah. Well, not all the way, because the Notre Dame win is going to carry.
The thing is, they got no path to – the thing is, they're going to be –
If they win out after this –
Here's the thing. They went out and they can't get to the ACC championship game because of this.
But if they win out after this, I think that they can be a third ACC.
Really curious decision between them and Notre Dame, because Notre Dame's 2 losses are to Miami in a head-to-head, and then Texas A&M, who will be in the playoff at home.
Yeah.
And whereas Miami, let's say they lose today to SMU, pretty good. They lose to SMU, which would be and Louisville, which are worse losses comparatively.
Then Miami, though, that's the issue. It's like you can't say, oh, Miami, your loss is worse than when Notre Dame lost to Miami.
But we beat you head-to-head. Yeah, that's where it gets tricky.
But you know it is going to be a decision, and the CFB 12-team playoff selection committee.
You're going to put a third team in the ACC in?
I've been saying this is the beginning of the year. I think this is the year that it can happen. I don't want to see it happen that way because I'm a Canes fan and I want to see them get in. But there's also a world in which the ACC championship game features 2 teams and one of them doesn't get in. The loser doesn't get in, and Miami gets in their stead. There's still a chance of that.
It's not going to be Louisville. You got to hope it's not Louisville. Louisville's in that game. They lose that ACC championship. I think Georgia Tech is very close to securing their bid.
Yeah.
They're very, very close to securing their bid. Virginia, on the other hand, has a loss to an in-conference opponent, but it wasn't an in-conference game. Their rest of the schedule: Wake Forest, Duke, Virginia Tech, and Cal. Not impossible. And then Georgia Tech, on the other hand, Georgia Tech has Pitt, Boston College, who's the worst team in the ACC, and then NC State today. So if they escape today, then all of a sudden you're looking at Pitt, boom, cement their spot into the ACC championship game, and therefore, in my opinion, the college football playoff because of their record. If they could lose that Georgia game, it doesn't even matter.
And if Duke wins today as well, they're going to be ahead of Miami in these standings. They have one loss in the conference, but that went over Clinton. Like it's going to be an uphill climb. Virginia could be there at the end of the day. It's going to be an uphill climb. The only two teams that are flawless in the ACC to date, Georgia Tech and Virginia. So Miami does need to pull it out. And to be honest with you, as a Canes fan, if you can't beat SMU on the road, I don't want to see you in the playoff
You don't deserve to get in. I agree.
That's how I felt about them last year.
And if they lose this game, there's no guarantee that they're winning the rest of the games. You know, like this is what we do with Miami every year. The same song and dance. They lose a game, they're all right. Well, now they have to win out. And then they lose another game, you're like, all right, now they have to win out. And then the third game happens, you're like, all right, this is stupid.
It's over.
Is a waste of time. It's exactly what happened last year.
I didn't see this going this way, man. This is such a good football team. I haven't been watching today, I will admit, as we've been enjoying the festivities here at the cocktail party. I told myself I was going to, take myself away from that because I didn't want it to be distracting me all show long, and now I'm getting more and more anxious as the minutes wane in that game. Let's just hope Carson Beck and the good fellas can get things done out there against SMU. Goodness gracious. We are here, though. Be where your feet are. That's what they tell me, and our feet are right here planted in Jacksonville, right outside of Everbank Stadium. We're about 30 minutes out from kickoff.
Would you be more shocked here if Miami loses that game to SMU on the road or Florida wins today?
More shocked if Florida wins. Wow. I think Florida's got no shot.
No shot.
I think Florida's got absolutely no shot today. And I
0 to 100 percentage. Georgia's a 90, 98.
To me, Georgia's like a 98. Yeah, like a 97, 98.
Wow.
And it's because of what Georgia has to play for and the fact that they already have a loss as well. And it's not like
they got an easier schedule. They're thinking, boy, we just need to escape these next couple games. But this is not a team that will get uptight. You know, if this is another team, that's why you're nervous about A&M the rest of the way.
Right.
A&M is a team that hasn't necessarily been here before, where they're playing for their pride every single week, and they're the hunted, and everybody's trying to play spoiler on them. It's a little different. Georgia's doing this every single year, so they know what to do in terms of dealing with it.
And I think the issue is the volatility of Lagway, where he can be great or he can be terrible. I don't think that's a good thing in a game like this where you're going to get a bunch of possessions because, well, that means there's more chances for him to bottom out and have a terrible drive that puts you in a bad situation. I believe in this Florida Gators defense. I also believe in this Georgia offense and its varied attack. They can run it. They can throw it. I think Gunnar Stockton is averaging like a quarter of his passes right now.
You think
they're
national
passes.
Championship good?
Yeah. It's wide open right now. I mean, Ohio State's the best team in the nation. I thought Miami was right behind them until they lost to Louisville, but Jeff Brom does this every year. Oregon with Dante Moore is good. Fernando Mendoza, we can't overlook Indiana. That was your team all last year. Are you in on Indiana this year?
Indiana, I mean, we got to give them some respect eventually.
Yeah.
I mean, geez. So, I mean, what more do they have to do? And Mike Rizzo, who I host with on Roost on Rizzo weekdays 4 to 6, he is doing everything in his power to invalidate every single win and big moment that Indiana's had, yet trying to validate everything that Ohio State has done in alternatively when Indiana has two bigger wins than Ohio State, period.
Yeah, Oregon and
they won at Iowa in terms of in-conference.
Iowa.
I know Texas is technically a big win. Texas should have 4 losses on their slate. I know they still only have 2.
Yeah.
But they should have lost to Kentucky, and they should have lost to Mississippi State last week.
Crazy.
Not a big team. So because of that, I can't sit here and say that Indiana's not for real, because I don't know if anybody's for real.
Yeah.
You know, everybody has got issues. Texas A&M's defense is not that good. Georgia's defense is not that good. Alabama faltered. Nobody knows what happened in that FSU game in the early part of the year. Oregon's not nearly as dominant as they always are. They run the ball well. They play defense well, but the quarterback has question marks. I mean, Ohio State is Ohio State. They haven't played anybody.
Yeah.
And so every single team you could dissect something wrong with them. I mean, if BYU is going to be the Big 12 representation and they have a true freshman starting a quarterback, that's self-explanatory.
Yeah.
So so that's why I agree with you. Wide open. I don't know if there's a juggernaut. If there is, it's Ohio State. But outside of that, I think that makes it fun that every team is flawed in some capacity.
And when it's wide open, those are the kind of years where you put your money on the teams that have done it before. You put your money on the coach that has been there in big games before. I like the Georgia Bulldogs. I like Kirby Smart. I've seen him in big games coach his way through and get big-time wins. So I'm very confident. Zachariah Branch is such a playmaker with the ball in his hands. Like, I'm very confident in what Georgia can be at its highest level. So I will say this. Georgia, this is not going to be close today. Georgia escapes here with a big-time win, and they close out the regular season here and get themselves a bye. I will definitively, when I'm filling out my bracket, I will likely be picking Georgia to be the one to be crowned national champions. It's just like
I was
in the
big
NFL
on Georgia
this year.
last year, so I'm not going to play that game again.
I'm okay, and I get that. You were scoring, and that was a different quarterback. Well, technically the same quarterback.
If I had to
that
place
came
a bet today, I don't know who I'm putting money on.
but it's like the NFL. The NFL is wide open right now, so guess what? The Chiefs are probably going to win. College football is wide open right now, so guess what? Georgia's likely going to win it.
I don't know if I believe that.
Just saying. To me, it's the best bet. It's the best bet.
Yeah, I don't know who I'd put money on today. I really don't. I mean, there's so many questions about all these teams, which makes it interesting. But, I mean, think about it for a second. This SEC still needs to play out. I mean,
it's a lot
Vanderbilt could always win out and throw a wrench into the equation. Alabama's definitely getting in. Texas A&M is definitely going to get in. Georgia's definitely going to get in. Ole Miss now for sure is likely going to get it. That's 4 teams right there. And now the question is, are they going to throw a third ACC school in there or a 5th SEC?
I think it'll be 2 ACC schools. I think if Miami's not in the ACC title game, they can still get in with 2 losses, and the runner-up in the ACC is not going to make it.
You're running out of spots because then you're going to have to cut out the Big Ten because the Big Ten's not going to get 4, right?
Damn it, it's crazy. This is crazy.
The Big Ten's not going to get 4.
This is why the SEC is
a little early for this,
crying for more spots.
Right. I mean, but this is why I also don't like when they're saying crying for more spots and give us automatic bids, because look at the Big Ten this year. You think the Big Ten deserves 4 automatic qualifiers?
No.
Absolutely
Earn
not.
it.
They barely deserve 3.
Go earn it. And again, if Miami doesn't win today, I think that if they leave themselves susceptible again because you can't beat freaking Louisville
pity a team like that.
and SMU.
I don't pity a team that loses 2 regular season games in the ACC.
I do want to say this. Another reason why I believe that this will not be a close contest, we're also giving maybe the greatest coach in the sport right now in Kirby Smart a bye week to prepare as well. Like, both teams are coming off of a bye, which helps, but you get a whole week to think about it and whatnot. Like, I just like Georgia in this one. We're going to give our predictions on the other side with Amber Wilson, but I just can't help but like Georgia.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to sell myself on the vengefulness and the theme surrounding what Florida could be today, because I actually think that inside that building, Napier was a well-respected figure. Napier was a good leader for the right guys. But I also think that sometimes talent will prevail, and sometimes you just don't have the horses for the race. That might be Florida's offense today. But I do think that you're going to see a motivated Florida bunch that is looking to – I don't like keep saying the word avenge, because they're the part of the reason that he was fired. But there is a pride associated to being responsible for a coach getting fired, and therefore you need to respond to that.
This has been the Michelob Ultra Tailgate Show here from the cocktail party right outside of Everbank Stadium. But you know what? We're not closing this thing all the way out, because we're bringing Amber Wilson in from ESPN Radio. She's going to come in. She's a Florida Gator.
Who lives in Bulldog Country.
Who lives in Bulldog Country. She knows this rivalry through and through. I mean, the Wilsons her family practically built Florida. Like, they've been there from the start of it all. So we need her expertise. We'll bring her in. We'll keep the party going here. That's Colin Russo. I'm Theo Dorsey. We're live here on ESPN 106.3. Calling all sports fans, grab your MVP card and head to Duffy's, where you can catch all of the action. Not an MVP? Sign up for free and start earning rewards today. Duffy's is voted the best sports grill year after year with their award-winning burgers and wings. Don't forget about Duffy's famous 2-for-1 drinks all day, every day. And with over 80 TVs in every location, you'll never miss a minute of the game. Visit Duffy'sMVP.com to learn more. Duffy's, our game is always on.
Business owners, are your employees driving you nuts? Is money tight? Or have you just poured your heart and soul into your business and now it's time to retire and just relax? At Transworld Business Advisors, they have buyers from all over the world ready to buy your business now. Call for a confidential conversation about your business's current value. 561-203-5121. That's 561-203-5121, or visit tworld.com.
We are counting down to kick off here at the cocktail party, Florida, Georgia, or Georgia, Florida, however you want to say it. I'm going Florida, Georgia right now. It's just your boy Theo Dorsey. We got Colin Russo. We're joined by Gator and Amber Wilson from ESPN Radio. And is that fair? Is that what y'all call it over in Gatorville?
Yeah, well, Gatorville. But listen, people will fight at this thing. We've already heard them when we were on air. Fans were screaming out to Florida, Georgia, Florida. Officially, Florida's home team today. Because they flip-flop every year. That's why the team's in Atlanta next year when they're not doing Jacksonville because the stadium's being renovated. And then it's in Tampa the year after that. So officially, it flip-flops. It's going to feel more like that next year. But in Jacksonville, everyone just fights over who's supposed to go first.
Of course. Why would you show up here and not want to fight over things like that? Because if you're a Florida fan right now, Colin, we've been talking about it. That might be all you got to fight for today.
Yeah. Well, we could fight for Lane Kiffin to be our coach.
Bragging rights.
We might have to fight for that. Let's be real, guys. But that's the beauty of this rivalry is I am impressed by just how packed it is. Still with Florida fans. They trickled in a little bit later. The Georgia fans were here a little bit earlier this morning. I mean, when I showed up this morning, early in the morning, people were already getting after it. And that is Florida, Georgia. And that's just the beauty of this rivalry. But there's still tons and tons of Gator fans here representing. Everybody's in a very good mood. Everyone's partying. It doesn't matter. Both teams could be coachless. And this thing still, guys, would be fierce.
Yeah, we don't need to take the coaches out of it.
Nobody needs coaches. Yeah, let's just go.
Backyard football. I mean, the thing about this that I want to add to is, think about this. I have 2 questions for you since you're a Gator. Number one, this weather, you cannot create a better day of weather.
The best.
Because it's one of those days where it's cool and actually kind of chilly in the shade, but it's hot in the sun.
In the sun, yeah, it was downright cold this morning. But now with the sun out, there's not a cloud in the sky. You're standing in the sun. You're absolutely right. It is perfection type of weather for
this.
This is football weather. Don't believe the nonsense about snow and sleet. No. That's crud. This is football.
Do you like this game being in Jacksonville every single year?
I do, because I think that it adds something special to it. We had Steve Spurrier on with us earlier on the college football campus tour, and I asked him that, hey, coach, because when he was coaching, they built this stadium. They tore down the Gator Bowl, and so he's one of those rare people that experienced a home and away. They, at that time, played a game in Gainesville, and they played a game in Athens. And he said that the neutral site is actually so much more special, because otherwise, it's just another game. And all the games in the SEC are awesome, but you want something that stands alone. And I think he's right. I really do once he said that, because originally I was thinking they're going to lose something next year by keeping it sort of neutral, sort of not. Like, why didn't they just go to Gainesville and Athens? But once he said that, I kind of agree. It makes it different. It makes it unique.
Well, I think Spurrier wants that because he doesn't want anybody else to have the privilege of doing what y'all did in '95 when he was over there running trick plays and running it up, dropping a 50 ball on Georgia.
Well, he knew how to do it. You know? Also, Georgia didn't know how to do it back then. So that was
Yeah.
I mean, the weird thing is, you mentioned Coach Spurrier joining your program. This type of game, it's a quiet. Not for me. I'm from the Northeast. This is a quiet rivalry, right? Like, I'm fresh to Florida. I went to school in the Midwest. I've been inundated with this specific rivalry because geographically I didn't grow up around it, and I think there's something to it where you see it around here. People who even live in northern parts of Florida but consider themselves Georgia, whereas people in the southern part of Florida consider themselves Georgia as well. It's all over the place where people tie their allegiances. But I think that's why it's great, is because of the geographical significance of Jacksonville. Jacksonville is almost a Georgia city in the top of Florida. It's close enough where both can kind of coincide, but I do sense what you're saying. This is sort of a home game for each side.
Yeah,
they want to bite off more than the other can chew. They want the 60-40 every single year in terms of their fame.
Right. Well, it's further from Athens than from Gainesville. It's only about 90 minutes from Gainesville, right? So people focus on that and being more of a home game for Florida. People forget, these fan bases, heck, they're everywhere across the nation, but they're certainly everywhere across their states. And the actual state line, like you said, is also just as close. So all those Bulldog fans, it's not like they're all in Athens and they have to drive further. It's such a fierce rivalry. They all show up, and this one feels just as fun. I haven't seen as much hate, I would say, as some other years when there's more on the line for both teams. but it's just as fun as golf.
You think there's a pity associated with Florida at the moment? You think anybody feels, a Georgia fan, maybe deep down feels bad for the turmoil that the program has dealt with in the last few years?
I don't know. I
They
think
love to see it, or they want to see Florida good. Sometimes Ohio State wants Michigan to be good because they want the game to be great.
Right.
And you don't want one team to not have anything to play for other than, pride and bragging rights.
Spoiler, too, though. They can be spoilers.
They can play spoiler, and that's going to be the theme of the games. But there's a deep part of the sense of rivalry where you want both teams to win.
Right. Well, and also because you're going to get it every single year because they maintain this rivalry moving forward. That's not the case with a lot of these SEC rivalries because they're going to a 9-game SEC schedule and then they put their annuals on the schedule next season, and Florida, Georgia remains. So that's going to continue to be special. It would be helpful, frankly, both teams ultimately, right? If both teams are great, and then you want to beat each other up and kick each other's butts. It's a little bit. That's how I feel about Florida State, because they've been so down too, and it's like, I hate Florida State as a Florida fan, but also it's kind of a bummer when we suck and when they suck, and it's like, all right, can we just be good again, all of us?
A little end of the year pillow fight, a little slumber party.
It does take the fun away from it, absolutely.
Amber Wilson joining us here from ESPN Radio, from the campus tour that you all know and love, and Theo Dorsey and Colin Russo right ahead of kickoff. We're going to do predictions in a little bit from Florida, Georgia, because, well, that's kind of like Radio 101. You got to do predictions before you go out. But I am curious from you, though, from your point of view. You, at one point before you were on professional sports talk and radio person, you were just a Gator in school. I know you were probably doing the student stuff too.
Yes, I was. I was that.
Yeah.
I was always that because this was always my goal. This was always my dream.
But
I
take
was
that
just
part
a
of the
Gator
way.
in school.
What about how was it when you were just going to the cocktail party? Do you even remember any of those experiences?
Oh, yes. What are you implying? Why wouldn't I?
I'm implying what it's named after.
I just look at everybody else, and I'm wondering if they're going to remember it.
I know she was.
There's pictures. There are pictures that say I was here. So, yes, I remember it well. I grew up with Gator football. So for me, it wasn't just when I was in college, because I've been going to Gator football games since before I could walk. I come from one of those families. Like my great-great-grandfather went to a school that predated the University of Florida. The reason I mention that, it's funny, because Florida and Georgia are such bitter rivals. We don't even agree on how many times it's been played.
That's so weird.
Georgia will say it's been played 104 times. We'll say it's been played 103 times because we don't want to count the game that was played that was in Georgia's favor, that was actually not officially the University of Florida back then, and that's the one that my great-great-grandfather went to, my great-grandfather, my great-grandfather, my father, my grandfather, all my siblings, we all went to the University of Florida. So I had no choice in the matter. Bleed orange and blue, I would have been a disgrace to my family if I haven't gone here, so for me to just start college.
You're surrounded by old Georgia fans, too, now.
Yes.
Because now this is a bit interesting contrast because you actually live in Georgia, right?
Yeah,
So
in Bulldog territory.
So you're deep in enemy, behind enemy lines,
Yes.
and you come in, you essentially planted the flag. Hey, Florida Gators in town. How'd that go?
Yeah, well, I did actually plant the flag. I put the flag up
Quite literally.
on my house, quite literally, and then everybody in the neighborhood put up all their Bulldog statues and flags. Like within 24 hours, there was like 10 new Georgia flags up in my neighborhood to let me know that I am in the wrong place.
Wearing the jerseys to church.
Yes,
You're gonna
that's
show everybody.
listen, I don't like to stand on. I did consider ordering the basketball national championship flag because I could still fly that one.
You know what? You should. Honestly, you should do it. Because you know what? Here's the thing about it. You can't just rest on the laurels of the past. I know Georgia's good now. They have a chance to get another one. But, hey, it's been a couple of years, Kirby. You know? Like, I'm kidding.
You can't. It's 2 in a row, too. I've seen like 5 of those hats in the last 10 minutes.
To them, it feels like it's been 20 years.
Yeah, I know.
They're like, oh my God, and our defense isn't as good. We don't have 8 NFL future Hall of Famers on our D-line. It's crazy.
They're ravenous out there. But you know what? I love people that want better for themselves. We'll see how much better they do here today at Everbank Stadium because they do have hefty expectations. They're the number 5 team in the nation. They have a Heisman hopeful, kind of dark horse right now, but Heisman hopeful quarterback in Gunnar Stockton. And also, like you said, I think last weekend out, 5 touchdowns for him?
Yeah.
That offense is high flying. The defense ain't the same.
They're finding ways to win. It's not how we're used to seeing them win.
What's crazy, though, is they've got the high flying offense. The Gators' only thing y'all have to rest on these days is that defense.
And
that
it's
is a
legit.
ball. It's absolutely. I hate that y'all are wasting a good defense.
I do too. I do too. It's so disappointing.
But do you think that there is a chance here when you think about how strong y'all are defensively, the Gators, and you think about the fact that DJ Lagway has been erratic this whole year, 9 touchdowns, 9 picks. You want to keep the ball out of his hands, but you can't run the football either. But you got to find something. Do Do you think there's a chance here more so because you got the other Billy?
Right.
Right?
Well,
It's a change of pace, of different scenery, a different offense.
Sometimes you get that bump. I know
Yeah.
particularly in the NFL, we'll see that, right? And so Billy Gonzalez has been about the program. This is his third time actually around the program. He won a national championship over the 11 years. So he's been here. He has that winning pedigree, and I know all the players buy in and really respect him. He might be a newcomer to us as an interim head coach, but he ain't a newcomer to them. And that's what matters. And so are you going to get that bump? Are they going to play a little bit harder? He said he's going to do things differently. He said he's going to spread the ball out more. It's going to be more of an up-tempo offense. I don't know, can DJ execute that offense? Like, was it actually Napier's play calling, or are there some limitations there of what we're capable of? And obviously we're injured on offense as well. So I would love to answer your question by saying, yeah, there's a great chance. But listen, that's where the team's going.
You think they're going to come out and play almost to avenge Billy Napier? Is there a sense of pride that's attached to, hey, this team is sort of the reason that Billy Napier got fired? And a lot of those guys came to play for Billy Napier. Right. And looking at it, sitting on a bye week, that would be my perspective, is if Coach Gonzalez comes in and says, hey, he's gone because of you guys. He's gone because you guys couldn't execute. You guys couldn't step up to the plate when asked. I feel like there might be a little bit of an avenging attachment. It's not like they hated Billy Napier. It's not like Brian Kelly at LSU, where everybody couldn't wait for him to get the heck out of there. This is a coach that they almost... He was liked. Internally, that's why he lasted that long. Right. It was almost a reluctant, we got to let you go.
Oh, yeah. Sterling kept giving chance after chance. They didn't want to fire Billy Napier because he's a very likable person. And certainly the players all liked Billy Napier. That's why they were playing for him. I think it's more than that, though, in this era that we're living in, where these guys know that they're auditioning for the transfer portal. I'm hoping that none of them hit that transfer portal. Billy's problem was not talent. This team is stocked full of talent. But they know that that's a reality, depending who comes in as coach. And so they also, I think, have that extra added motivation that we haven't seen in other years past. Because Florida goes through this coaching cycle every 4 or 5 years. But what's different is that. And what's different is these guys now are auditioning mid-season for whatever comes next. And also maybe for maintaining some of those NIL contracts that we got here.
I wanted, before we go to the predictions, we'll give that in just a moment here. Amber, I want you to do a favor, because we did this earlier in the show. Rank Florida right now with the top 3 job openings being LSU, Florida, and Penn State. Where do you feel like the Gators fall in that as an attractive spot for coaches to want to pull up and go and try to keep Lane Kiffin out?
All right. How can you keep Lane Kiffin out of anything these days? I would say, for me, if I'm objective, then Penn State is in a separate category, because not that Penn State is better or worse. That's a heck of a job. You certainly have the resources. You have the talent available to you. You have the recruiting available to you. You got the money available to you. That's what this all comes down to. And we can argue about whether that's an easier path. I'm an SEC gal. I'm going to say it's easier. That path that they have to take in the Big Ten. I think we're seeing that for Ohio State.
You agree with that, right?
Absolutely.
I mean,
Big Ten stinks.
Look what Ohio State is doing right now. They didn't play anybody. They're going to lock themselves into a postseason. And so from that perspective, Penn State's obviously an excellent job. But the reason I'm saying it's a different category is because I also think what that comes down to is, do you want to go to the Big Ten? Do you want to live there? Like, it's so different than SEC life. Whereas Florida and LSU,
let's compare those.
Very similar. Very similar. Obviously, SEC ball, living in both places. Baton Rouge is bigger. It doesn't feel as much like a college town, but still, we know how those fan bases are. You're going to have the support. Florida spent, I think, $2 million more on its team this season, but both of those schools are going to spend tons of money on their teams. They're going to end up having the same booster collective numbers, essentially, roundabout, and the talent's going to be available to you at both places. LSU, you don't have to be inside the state as much because you don't have Miami, you don't have Florida State. That's, I guess, the argument in favor of LSU. In Florida, I would say the argument in favor there right now is that the expectations have been lower. We have not won in a very, very long time in terms of national championship. We didn't have the Joe Burrow years, right, in 2019. But then also, the governor is been a lot more quiet.
Ding, ding, ding.
At least, our governor's not quiet. But
I was going to say, on the front of college football,
at least
coach,
when it comes
involved
to
in the coaching search.
Yes, let's be specific.
First of all, and also, Amber, don't give him any ideas.
Right. No, that's
he's
true.
Watching, he's like,
That is
what?
true. Yes.
You think I can just get in there and get involved? No, please
Right,
don't.
but and then they just fired their athletic director there at LSU because of all the noise. I just think that they've exposed themselves as a bit of a mess. And if I'm a head coach, I don't want to walk into a messier situation.
Is there somebody that you want as a Gator themselves? the person that you think is going to take the Florida job the same as the person you want, or do you think it's going to be two separate?
The person I want is Lane Kiffin. Now, some of that isn't just because of his pedigree as a coach. A lot of that is selfish because of what I do for a living, what we all do for a living. Like, that would be great for his content, guys, right? Let's be honest about that. He's the best. He would give us the sound bites. He would give us the things to talk about. That would be fun. So I would get to talk about Gators more at ESPN. So, like, that's selfish reason. I don't feel like he's going to do it. I don't feel like he's looking all this. And so that's disappointing. And then where do we go after that? Is it going to be like Drinkwitz? This is Jen Fish, who's a Florida alum out in Washington. That doesn't excite me a ton. I mean, we can go down the list of possible candidates. Beyond Lane, I'm not particularly passionate, honestly.
Wow. At that point, it's just like, tell me who it's going to be. It's not Lane, just tell me.
And that's the problem, I think, of whoever walks in, because it has been so obvious that Lane is the first choice. And that's the dangerous part of it.
Build a profile then. Do you want somebody that's experienced SEC ties? Do you want somebody that's a proven winner, experienced at a previous school, an up-and-comer?
I want somebody who knows how to coach big boy football. Like, I'm done with this is why I don't really want Jen Fish right now. Like, I'm sort of done with the lesser programs, smaller schools, and then you're coming over to SEC. We just did that with Billy Gaither. He was excellent before he came to Florida. Let's get somebody in here who's used to that level of pressure and used to coaching at that level. And listen, pressure focus is different for Lane. And obviously he's done Tennessee, whatever. But I do feel like with Kiffin, he's a lot closer than any of those other coaches. I mean, Marcus Freeman would be my first answer. I'm assuming we're taking him off.
Be careful.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. If he's an option, I should throw his name.
Yeah, let's get Saban in there too. Like,
talks. You don't know.
He is not leaving Notre Dame. Let's
I don't think he is, but Florida has more money. LSU has more money.
No academics. I mean, not as much academic standards getting players in, but he hand select his schedule every single year and walk into the college football playoff, and he's booking hotel rooms in July every single year.
I think it's about to walk into a postseason with a starting team, and that's difficult.
Speaking of the team we beat last year to get into the playoff, before we give the pick, we are going to get people are waiting on the pick. So like, I want to hear what you got to say. I got to put this money down. Relax. I'm curious.
Yes.
Haven't heard you mention again.
I don't want to. Okay. Is that what you're offering me, James Franklin? No, I do think James Franklin would actually be a pretty good fit at like a Florida State. If I'm at FSU, I don't move on from Norvell right now because I don't want to compete. They can take
well, no, what I'm
you
saying
see what I just did there?
Yeah, you're a Florida fan with a Florida hat on. You're like, I think James Franklin
should be great.
Tim Salad.
You know where that guy is?
Every big game.
Only the big ones. Yeah. So I want the Noles to come back to some sort of glory where they're good.
Yeah.
You know?
Just good enough to get beat in the end.
Right.
There you go.
That kind of good.
All right, so let's talk about it. The line at last time I checked was 7.5. You got Georgia, you got Florida. One is the number 5 team in the nation. One hasn't reached 5 wins yet.
Unnecessary.
Well, I'm just radio guy giving the setup. I'll make the pick first. I'll make the pick first. I spent my first 4 years of my TV career covering Georgia. I watched the transition into Kirby Smart's career, so I've seen this thing up close and personal. I know when it looks good. I know when it's high-powered. I think today's going to be a bloodbath. I think that they're going to absolutely blow out Florida, and I think that defense, it's not going to be in the first. The first half will be like 17-3.
Right, it'll be.
And that second half is going to be like 3 or 4 straight drives where it just feels inevitable. I like Georgia in a bloodbath today to get a win here. I'm sorry for your Gators fans. You want to go next one? Give it time to breathe.
I'll take this one because I'm on the opposite end. Let's go two ends. Let's go 2 ends of the spectrum here. I also think Georgia's going to win. I think this will be the close catch game. But I think Florida's going to play well here. I mentioned that I think they're going to play to avenge Billy Napier a little bit. That's a guy who's respected within that program. The players liked him. The administration liked him. They're 2 weeks removed. They have a defense that can compete, and all they need to do is catch them on the right day to have 2 good drives, and all of a sudden this is the game. So I actually think this is going to be sort of on the lower scoring side. I'm going to go 23-20. And I think it'll be a close one throughout. So I'm actually expecting a good one.
Okay, all right. I could see the first half being, where we're like, oh, hey, maybe they're onto something. And then listen, the problem with the Gators this season, it hasn't been that defense, but it's been because that offense can't stay on the field. Well, and also because they love to get the ball back to the other team. Then defensively, we don't get rest, and so by the second half, you're wearing down. But here's what I'm going to do, guys. I'm going to do the same thing I did on my show. I'm not picking this. Because you know why? It's against my religion to pick the Georgia Bulls. We're playing the Florida Gators. I can't do it.
That's the same thing. Not picking is essentially picking the Georgia. You just said, I'm not picking it because I can't.
I did not. I maintain my rights.
We know what that means. We'll wrap things up here. Much love to everybody that came out, the fans, the festivities, ESPN Radio, and Amber, yourself, for taking some time out with us. For Colin Russo, for Amber Wilson, I'm Theo Dorsey. The game is next right here on ESPN 106.3. This has been the Michelob Ultra Tailgate Show.
Snowbirds, welcome back. Time to trade your coats and hats for swim trunks and sunscreen. And get your home ready for company. Before the family arrives, make sure your home's water is in top shape. Hard water and hidden minerals can leave spots on dishes, dull your